Good afternoon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tumi Tladi, and as I continue with this series, it's a massive series, Xamarin series. I promise nothing but the best. So, in our previous videos, we did cover, as we continue to use this document to guide us, we did cover the overview of Xamarin. We looked at what Xamarin.Forms is, we looked at what Dot Xml is, and in the second video, we looked at the project structure, we looked at the shared project, we looked at the Android and iOS platform-specific projects. The third video, we looked at MVVMs, architecture models, views, looking at the content pages, content views, more on that later on, view models and services. And then we did permissions. We looked particularly on Android, what's happening on the Android manifest file. Apologies about that one. Seems like my device is not steady. Okay, sorry. And then what's happening on assembly info class. We also looked at the splash screen. That's the last thing that we did in video number 5. So this is going to be video number 6. We're going to be looking at this App.xaml. So we're going to look at the page and the file, meaning the code behind and what's happening on the UI side of it. That is what I intend to do today. The next session, we're going to look at this page called Terms of Service. That's what we're going to be looking at. Now, I have my laptop is mirroring my phone, and then we have the actual app. So without wasting any time, let's go to Visual Studio. I have a Visual Studio, it's ready for us. And I'm gonna go to this shared project. There's the actual Xamarin project. And then we're gonna look at this file. This file. I feel like it's very important. The reason why I structured this, or I put together the order of the videos to cover, or should I say topics to cover, it's because I know when the app launches, it's going to go to what we call startup page. It's going to skip certain things. I intend to do base indicator. I intend to do terms of service up next. But I want to talk about this guy. This guy, it's very, very important. So we're going to look at Sync Fusion registration. We'll talk about the NuGet package and what gets to be registered. We'll look at the Xamarin Essentials briefly because I intend to do extensive a video on this topic. Maybe I should do it as a next video because a lot of features on Xamarin Essentials, they need to be covered in detail. I'm only going to show, but we should look at this. Yeah, we should schedule this video to be a next thing that we look at. I'm thinking, and an app center and an app ID. Yeah, okay, so this is the file, right? So if I look at the code behind, we're gonna start with the code behind. And while it's loading, if this video is the first video of mine that you're currently watching, I'm going to add you. I'm also going to advise you to watch my other previous videos because there's a lot that I did, before I finally decided to do this series. I did a lot of series. I did the Solution Explorer series. I did version control series. And then recently I just completed ASP.NET Web API series. Now I'm on Xamarin series. And then all the videos, I believe this video is video number 90, if I'm not mistaken, because I do have 89 videos in total. And then I created multiple playlists. Please do check them out because then here I show goodness, the goodness of identical dogs. So this is me putting together, all this knowledge that I self-taught, everything. CTD did not teach me half of these things. In fact, they only taught me about 10% of these things. That was the first year and second year, and then I left. Then I went to teach myself everything, including Xamarin. So hence I want to show how I put together this app called Identical Docs. So we're going to look at this guy at a later stage, but I want to start with, so this is the entry, right, for Xamarin Shared Project. Although the app that's currently running, it's running on Android, I get that. This app, it's Android, and then Android has its own main activity, but the main activity is not the main launcher. What is the main launcher from our previous video is the splash screen. We did cover this guy, but for this guy to work, this is platform specific. This will handle only Android side of things. However, when it comes to the shared, taking over, this is where this guy comes in. So this class, it's a partial class. It inherits from application because there's a lot about this class. Let's read a bit about the description of this class. So class that represent a cross-platform mobile application. The application class is a core of a Xamarin.Forms application. It sets the root page, there we go, of the application, persist primitive data type across invocations of the application in the application.properties dictionary, and provides events to respond to pushing and popping of model views. Visual Studio creates this class for the developer in the appropriate project in the new Xamarin.Forms solution. Both the Visual Studio for Mac and Visual Studio create a XAML and a code behind file for the application when the developer creates a new Xamarin.Forms solution. The following example shows a typical application class with an entry in its resource dictionary. So now we need the constructor, and then obviously I'm still using my commands, to guide and also to help with maintenance. Now the first thing that you see here, this is me registering the license for Syncfusion. I did a video, it's called Service Provider for Syncfusion, and then there I showed I have account with the Syncfusion, not only for MVC, but also, well, not only .NET Framework MVC, but also .NET Core MVC. I'm using some of their controls. I'm also gonna use some of the controls on WPF for .NET Core on this project. And then majority of them are being used on Xamarin. So this is the license for me to actually, make sure that the controls I bring into my project, they work for production, because we're allowed to do so. So that's the first thing. And then with that being said, I need, there's a NuGet package. I'm gonna cover NuGet package later on, not now, but I see there's a lot of Syncfusion here. And there isn't a specific Syncfusion, but for these controls to work, like cards, expander, base indicator, parallax view, rating, rotator, this license authorizes them based on the version number. I hope that makes sense, but I'm not gonna cover this. I'm only referencing this line. Then the second thing is that we initialize the entire component, right? And then this is where now one of the features of Xamarin Essentials comes in. So if you look at this display, or a device display, it comes from this namespace, Xamarin.Essentials, right? So this represents information about the device's screen, right? So what I do is that keep the screen on for my app. So I toggle this thing to be true, because this is very important. I don't want you to keep on closing. I don't want my application to dim, or I don't want you to forget about my app. That's the whole intent. So this is a nice little functionality to or the API. It's a nice API to utilize. Then what I do now, this is very interesting. I cannot. Okay, this portion, it's critical for our constructor. So this is what happens, and then we're gonna cover this video in our next session, where we're gonna do terms of service, right? Terms of service page. It's a feature that I invented myself. Okay, so what I'm doing is this. Now, also with Xamarin Essentials, I'm leveraging this API called Preferences. Now, in a typical Android, using a crappy IDE called Android Studio, using Java, it's called Shared Preferences. Now, in Xamarin world, this, it's bundled inside this package, Xamarin.essentials. So it's called preferences. It can't be shared preferences because it's also being used for UWP. It's also being used for iOS. That's why it's called preferences, right? So a class to interact with preferences or settings of the native platform, right? Each platform uses the platform provided native APIs for storing applications or user preferences. Right, you see, when it comes to Android, it's called shared preferences. For iOS, it's called end user default. For UWP, it's called application data container. So now what I'm doing is that I do have a class called preferences variables, but I'm not going to cover this. I should make time for this guy. Let's see. I should talk about the preferences and preference variables and what I did when we look at utilities. Yeah, let me make a video, independent video, where we talk about preferences and preferences variables. I feel like it's very, very important. Should I schedule a simple video? Maybe we should. Yeah, maybe we should. Yeah, maybe we should. Okay, let's do that. Preferences and preference variables. So before we get to terms of service, we should talk about that guy. Preferences and preferences variables. It's very, very important. Okay, so we'll cover this in our next session. So basically, I'm like, okay, for this one, it's going to be user accepted terms of service. Now, by default, it should be false, right? But we're going to get the value if it's been stored. So basically, this guy is a string. Oh, this is the key. Oh, wait, sorry. This is the key and this is the value because this is get, right? If you look at it, this is the key. It takes in the key and then the value. So it should accept a Boolean where I'm saying by default should be false, right? If there's nothing here or whether because the default is going to be false, right? Is the default Boolean value? Is the default value for Boolean variable false, right? Yes, but I'm explicitly saying false because it's a must. And I'm getting, but if there is a true, then go there, save true here. But if it's false, still go there. Now, if it's not true, meaning it's false, go to a terms of service page, and I want to talk about this line. But if it's true, you're gonna go to a startup screen, meaning I'm saying, has the user accepted terms of service? And we'll look at that the next session, or in the next couple of sessions I intend to do. Right, because this is critical. So when it comes to Xamarin, the main page property, as you can see, it comes from application class. It gets and sets the root page of application, right? So now this guy, we are saying this should be the main page only if the user has not accepted the terms of service, right? Therefore, we are saying new navigation. The reason why we are ripping up, we are creating a navigation stack, right? So we're gonna say you're gonna go to terms of service page, but we need that inside the container navigation page. This is very critical, absolutely critical. If not, that's the case, you're gonna go to a startup screen page. And I want you to notice that here I'm appending towards the end page, so that it can be easy for me to see that we are going to the page, right? So this is what happens. Now, if we continue, we need to look at now the methods that I'm overriding. So I can override on sleep. What happens if my app goes into the sleeping mode or if it resumes, but I'm overriding on start. So this is where I get to use a third-party NuGet package called App Center. It's from Microsoft. Now start, this is where I get to initialize my Android with the ID for Android project, and then iOS. This is for analytics and crashes APIs, right? So, but this is where I get to initialize it. You see, I'm saying type of analytics and type of crashes. And then it does have its own NuGet package. Let's close this guy. Dependencies, and then you see that there is Microsoft.appcenter.analytics and Microsoft.appcenter.crashes. I did a video on that. Please watch my previous videos It's titled External Service for App Center. Cool. And then what I do right here on start, I'm calling this method called App Center Analytics. Now, it's a helper method. So what I'm doing here, I'm saying we're going to also continue to use Xamarin Essentials, where we're going to get information about the device, right? The device info. We're going to get the model. Now, it gets the model of the device. I'm going to save it there. Also, we're going to get the manufacturer of the device, put it there. We're going to get the name of the device, put it there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this API, and then I'm going to use analytics as an API, leveraging track event. So I'm using string interpolation to say this is a device info, right? So we have device model, device manufacturer, device name. This is very important for analytics purposes. That's why it's called App Center Analytics, right? Then also I'm calling app ID. Another helper method, this is also critical, where I'm still using preferences from Xamarin Essentials now to do what? To get if there is an app ID underscore app. If there is one, please give it to me there. Other than that, this is going to be the default. Now the default is going to be go with .empty.toString, right? And put it there. And then if that app ID is exactly that, the empty go with, right? .toString, we're going to set on the preferences for this key app ID underscore app, we're going to set a new go with. So this new go with is going to be a unique for this application running on my device. So we need this because I'll show. In fact, I did cover this when we did a video. Let me go to Web API series quickly. We did cover it when we look at uploads and the voice messages because they're making use of app ID. So this is how now Web API gets to know about that app ID because we are generating that app ID. Okay, so this is all I have for the code behind. Now, to wrap up with this app.xaml, we're going to look at now the UI, or should I say the XAML. Now, this is critical. This is critical because whatever you do here, you set this globally for the entire application, either Android, iOS, or UWP. This is what you do, right? So now this is XML syntax. I hope you know this. So what we have here is that we have this application tag, right? Now this application tag is a global tag. If I do this, you see it's a global tag. Okay, cool. Inside we have the namespaces. I really don't care about these guys, but what I care about is this application.resources. That's the only sub tag that we have, application.resources. So these are the resources for the entire application. Where do we have colors? Why do we have resources for navigation bar? I have resources for font awesome. I will talk about these. Now, for the colors, this is called reusability in a nutshell. You do not, because this is problematic. I had to come back and refactor this where, listen, we cannot have colors in the pages like red, blue, pink. No, well, let's set them globally on the application resources and let's just call them based on their keys. So this is how we do it. Now the syntax of Xamarin, it's fun to understand, easy, as opposed to a crappy Android in Android Studio. Oh, the syntax it's terrible. I mean, I know you have colors.xml. And then, in fact, we do have, let me show that a bit. Let's go to Android and let's go to resources and let's go to values folder and then colors.xml. The syntax there, yeah. But it's practically the same, color, give it and a name attribute, and then there's a name and then there's a color and all that. But the thing is, this file is isolated, it's somewhere, it's far and all that. But here we are grouping everything in one, and we are calling it using the key, right? So Xamarin adopted how Android typically is. Cool. And now the next thing that we have, so these are my all colors, right? So we have a color for navigation bar that's dark. We have for the background, we have the light white. We have dark gray, light gray, all of that colors because they're being utilized. Okay, and then we have the navigation bar. Now, this is where I style the navigation bar, right? So the target type should be navigation page. It knows that. And I'm setting the property of bar background color. You see, that's why I'm utilizing that color of background. So I'm using that using static resource. So that's the value. It's very easy. And with the Visual Studio, now what they did is they did it. This is very simple to see the color. Like I can see this red, this orange, this is green, this is white, and these are silvers and all that, or grays. The next thing that we have is Font Awesome. This is critical. We'll talk about Font Awesome. I do have a video schedule for that. We'll come back to it, how it's been set up throughout. Let's see. Yes, Font Awesome. We're going to look at the Font Awesome. And yes. So I'll come back to Font Awesome when I do the video, including material design icons. And then, but we can talk about the icons. Oh, this is me saying there are icons. So there's an icon big, right? So the key is going to be icon big, and the type is going to be of label, the target type. So this is what I'm setting the text card. So I'm trying to reuse the code, because when you see something being duplicated, reuse as much as you can. So this here, it's me reusing almost everything. But I'll come back and reference this as many times as I can. The validations, we'll see the validations later at a later stage. But I do have a validation for level 1 and validation for level 2, with the different sizes and then the margins and everything. I do have for business info page. I do have for savings info page. I do have for settings info page. I do have for notifications, voice messages, and I do have for feedbacks, and I do have for about page. So this may having to reuse the code, because when you see, and then you're gonna see more of these bottom buttons. Let me show these bottom buttons with the live app, and it will be done. So let me quickly fire this guy. So this is a screenshot. We covered this in our previous video. Please watch the previous video. I just want to show you those bottom buttons. So let me move the app here. It's checking for the new updates. Oh no, sorry about that. Yeah, no, it seems like my USB is not steady. It's fine, sorry about that. So these are the bottom buttons. Come on. Sorry again. Now, like I said, these are the colors I'm using from this App.xml application resources, and then we'll talk about the icons later on. But these are the bottom buttons. So I can have 2 buttons like this, or I can have 1 button. So if I go, I'm a business or store owner, you will see 1 button. There we go. But it's supposed to be, oh no. Okay, no, this one doesn't qualify as what I'm trying to get to. It's fine. But these are the bottom buttons. You see more of these bottom buttons. So what I do there is I have the key buttons bottom. Target type is buttons, right? I have the text color. So the text color is going to be white, as you can see. I have the border width is going to be 2 border width. I have the border color is going to be light gray. So 2, and then the color is light gray. I have background color, it's color of navigation bar. So this is the color of navigation bar, you see that, because this is what's being referenced, navigation bar. And then I have height request, the value should be 56, the height from here to there. And I have the margin, right? So the margin is going to be 10, 6, 10, and then 10. 10, 6, 10, and 10. So the first 10 is this one, and then 6 is top, and then 10 is right, and 10 is bottom. And then I have stack layout for bottom container where I'm stacking them. This is stack layout. We'll see this where we have the background color background, horizontal options, fill and expand, vertical options, end and expand. So this is end and expand. So it's ending and it's expanding this portion because this is vertical. And then horizontal options, this is horizontally, it's filling and expanding the buttons. Okay, so this is a nice thing, to have in your application, application resources globally, and you just reuse them as many times as you want to. So with that being said, thank you very much. I want to cover that video in our next session. It's called preferences and preferences variables. We need to talk about this because we're going to come back and referencing a lot of things from preferences and preferences variables. Okay, so with that being said, thank you very much. I hope this video was informative. I don't intend to keep them long. That's why I keep it simple, straight to the point. With that being said, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And then if you have any comment, suggestion, please leave it down on the comment section. And then finally, please subscribe to this channel so you can receive notification when I drop daily videos. Because like I said, this is probably video number 90, literally, and I still have a lot to go, a long way to go with a lot of videos to make. With that being said, thank you.